make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know, but they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
A lot of questions. A lot of questions, Mel. Mel, a message tonight.
Yeah, I'll sift through the remains of my place and see if I can find any clues for you.
People are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't.
Mel Gibson has continued their continuing feud with Gavin Newsom by taking another jab at him. And this time it's both hilarious and vicious. Since the wildfires in California last year, they have been engaged in a public dispute that doesn't appear to be coming to an end anytime soon. Gibson is now urging Californians to vote Newsom out and elect a leader who can truly carry out the duties after the fires damage his Pacific Palisades house. His most recent remarks have sparked some of Newsom's most contentious responses to date. Yes, I do have every clip. Click like, subscribe, and let's get started.
Now, any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel.
Mel Gibson is irritated by Gavin Newsom because he appears to be more concerned with his polished appearance than the people he represents. Newsom is short, crisp, and cutting. It's nearly impossible to locate a picture of Newsom without that flawlessly slicked back glossy hair, since he seems so obsessed with his appearance. Rising taxation, excessive bureaucracy, immigration-related rallies, an increasing homelessness issue, unclean streets, and ongoing conflict are all concerns California is currently facing. Critics counter that he doesn't appear to be worried. Rather, he appears to be more concerned with upholding his reputation than with solving the state's problems.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors.
This is the point at which things start to get serious. According to reports, local teenagers and possibly a few temporary campers may have caused some of the Pacific Palisades fires. However, what attracted notice were the claimed items that police discovered during arrests, items that go well beyond what one would anticipate from irresponsible people. It is unclear how deliberate the incident may have been, given that authorities apparently found fire accelerants, protective clothing, and even simple ignite equipment. Mel Gibson's suspicions enter the picture here. He thinks there is a pattern based on previous behavior and does not rule out Gavin Newsom's involvement. According to him, crises are more than just mishaps. They can be utilized to advance legislation, acquire power, and obtain finance. Gavin Newsom starting his own podcast is perhaps the most unexpected turn of events. He portrays it as a forum for genuine dialogue with both individuals he respects and those who disagree with him. Critics, however, have a totally different opinion. They contend that it's more about molding his public persona and perhaps gauging public opinion in front of a potential presidential run. They perceive it as a professional project with meticulous management of every aspect, including the guests and the conversational tone. They think it's intended to increase attractiveness and show voters a more polished version of himself rather than to engage in real debate. For them, ambition is more important than discussion.
Make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know, but they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
A lot of questions. A lot of questions, Mel. Mel, a message tonight.
Yeah, I'll sift through the remains of my place and see if I can find any clues for you.
After the 2024 election, Gavin Newsom once again responded angrily, and to many it says a lot. Not many in the Democratic camp genuinely anticipated making a comeback. He was seen as a political threat for years, and his reputation never fully recovered. However, as his detractors concentrated on criticizing him, he was regaining popularity, honing his message, and capitalizing on Joe Biden's policy errors. Opponents are accused of relying too much on rhetoric and media events rather than offering compelling alternatives. Many were taken aback by the performance outcomes. According to this viewpoint, Newsom's response is more than just annoyance. It also reveals deeper worry, because it seems that a long-standing political narrative has changed, making their approach unclear.
welcome to a new segment called Gavin's Hands. He keeps his hands in motion and his hair full of lotion. True, Gavin's views may be idiotic, but his hands moves, well, they're hypnotic. California Governor Newsom's new podcast is out. It's available wherever fine hair care products are sold.
This was the time to intervene and demand an audit of the high-speed rail project, which many backers believe was long needed. Critics have long claimed that the project has wasted enormous sums of taxpayer funds while making little headway, with constantly changing deadlines, escalating expenses, and persistent delays. In response, Gavin Newsom noted that the project has undergone multiple audits, but opponents call them predictable and ineffective, arguing they haven't produced real accountability. Supporters reportedly grew uneasy when a new audit was announced, fearing it could reveal deeper issues like poor management or financial errors in one of California's most controversial infrastructure projects.
Wonders why Dems lost.
We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke?
Kennedy, I think the answer is yes. Was
it because of Israel? Yes. Interest rates? Yes. Too woke?
Former California resident Joe Rogan also entered the argument, and he didn't hold back. He spoke openly about how the state, once known for opportunity and innovation, has declined under Gavin Newsom's leadership. Rogan cited the high expense of living, stringent laws, and what he perceived as a constrictive cultural environment as the main causes of his decision to relocate. He now utilizes his position to make the case that California has deteriorated after spending years in Los Angeles. Rogan claims that his relocation was motivated by more than just taxes. It was also an attempt to leave a setting where he felt his independence and creativity were constrained. In his view, the direction of the state reflects deeper issues he believes leadership has failed to address. He adds that a lot of other people are making similar decisions and departing as well.
It's the issues of audits. I mean, I was commenting when I was with President Trump. We talked about the high-speed rail, and there was some discussion before the public presentation on high-speed rail last week around audits. I think we've been audited 100 times there. Happy to see another audit. At a certain point, you have audit fatigue. I think at the end of the day, people want outcomes and they want results for their money spent. Audits for audit's sake service no one, just services headlines. What people want is problems solved, and they want to see it. They want to believe it. They don't want to hear it, and they don't want to hear excuses and rhetoric.
It's clear that Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass are providing Californians with very little. The state has descended into a labyrinth of homelessness, crime, growing expenses, and oppressive bureaucracy while they have been in charge. Once thriving cities now face overcrowded sidewalks with tents, rising crime, soaring housing costs, and a decline in small businesses and families. Progressive ideas have made headlines, but everyday problems remain unresolved. Longtime Californian Mel Gibson isn't alone in frustration. More residents are demanding Newsom's resignation and accountability. Citizens are looking past political showmanship, calling for real leadership. The message is clear. Meaningful change is urgently needed.
In 2019, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
Folks, this is what leadership looks like. Gavin Newsom could learn a few things from Governor Ron DeSantis' audacious and straightforward approach to state governance if he were open to it. Strong anti-riot measures were implemented by DeSantis, who made it plain that lawlessness and violent protests would not be accepted.
Now, I understand you offered Gavin Newsom help in handling his unrest. I understand that didn't go over too well.
Yeah, they accused us of trying to, quote, escalate. But I can tell you what escalates the situation is being a sanctuary state. What escalates the situation is tolerating the looting and the rioting and the burning of these vehicles and attacks on law enforcement. And we do it just the opposite in Florida. When the 2020 riots were happening in Minneapolis, California, all these other places, we didn't let that happen in Florida. But we also recognize, like, this is what the left does. So we did landmark anti-rioting legislation.
He prioritized public safety by swiftly and forcefully deploying law enforcement to put an end to looting before it had a chance to spread. Leadership that was focused and resolute kept Florida in order. Cities in California suffered as a result of the state's lax crime laws and slow response. While Newsom pursues headlines rather than rebuilding safety and confidence, DeSantis produces outcomes.